the second part of the makeover of Sophie's garden, you can see us finish it all off. We make a tree seat, we plant it and we turf it. I hope you enjoy the final result. We've made this really big sandpit here so they can all pile in and play together. Also, it's going to be nice and dry when it's pouring with rain. I've made it very simply. I've just lined it with this terrain, which is a membrane, and basically it just stops all the soil and the worms getting into the sand, so it keeps it nice and just sand. We've edged it with the timber. Sometimes I use boulders, sometimes I use logs, anything really, just to contain it. You can dig a hole, put the lining in, and then bung in the sand. It's as simple as that, and always make them nice and big. In Germany, they've gone away from using this membrane because they say if the soil and the worms mix in with the bottom of the sand, they actually help keep it sweeter. And it doesn't go that awful sour smelling smell, which it does when it's been in there a long time. Whatever you do, it's important to drain it though. It is nice to have some stones at the bottom so that the water doesn't build up in an area. We're using the same design for this little fence down here as we've used up on the treehouse balustrade. This isn't really a fence to stop anyone coming in or out. It just visually, it will just semi-divide the kids' area from the rest of the space. And I think it will just make a nice little boundary to the wildlife area. And when we've finished it off with nice balls going on top of the posts, then I think it will set it off a treat. I just wish it wasn't so muddy. It's really demoralising working this mess. And then we'll just drill into the top of the post.
With plenty to keep the children happy, it was time to pay Mum some attention.
I thought it'd be a good idea, Sophie, to make more of that lilac tree of yours. So I thought if we put a seat that went all the way around it and we painted that nice blue colour, then it would add a bit of colour and it would also provide a lot of extra space for more bums if ever you need it.
I love that lilac tree.
It's nice, really nice little tree, and it would just really set it off, I think. I've got two of them like this in my own garden. They're very simple to knot together and they're just quite fun. They're simple design.
To make this circular seat, we jigsawed 2 semicircles from 25mm marine plywood.
Exactly the same on the inner circle. Lovely. There we are. There's half our seat.
The top would sit on 6 concrete balls, so we screwed wooden blocks on for support.
Put it round the tree.
Yes.
I've already made the first half and I've put it out here.
Okay.
And that way we can just see where the balls need to go. So let's position this one up to it. These balls have got a flat top and a flat bottom. I ordered them with both, just so that they sit nice and firmly on the ground. Good dog. There's the other one.
What are these stones made of, Bunny?
These are reconstituted stone. It's stone dust mixed with concrete, and they vibrate it and everything, so it forms a really strong mix. Do you notice they're a much darker colour than normal? But they'll dry out to a slightly lighter colour. But what it is this guy who makes them, you send him a bit of the stone of the colour you want, and he colour matches it. Because a lot of them, the reconstituted stone comes out really unnatural looking. But these, by the time they've dried out a bit, look really authentic. I'm just putting a little bit of concrete there just to form a sort of little bit of a level base. How is that for level, Soph?
That one's fine.
And this one that I made before, I put the edging strip. Can you see this 4mm
yeah.
edging strip? And we're going to put it on that one, but it's just fixed on around the edge. Is that sweet over there? Half over there? That's right. And then we'll put this on and hopefully it'll all marry up perfectly. Very nice. Yeah, nicely buttered up here. This is 4mm ply, and this is the most tricky bit of the whole job, I find. When the paint's over the top, hides all this, and you don't know what it's made of, whether it's made of ply or something nicer. Great. Now, all we need to do is screw through here into the balls. What do you think of the colour, Soph?
It's lovely. It's very fresh. It's going to look lovely in the summer when my lilac tree flowers. It's going to look beautiful.
What colour flowers has your lilac got?
White.
Oh, very nice. There we are, all done and dusted. A favourite seat for a favourite tree.
And it looks very nice. It's beautiful.
I also designed another seat to nestle into the hedge. This was a very simple design, with a slab of wood screwed into 3 more balls and 2 posts concreted either side.
It's just so easy to bang it in, isn't it? And then it's set in 4 minutes. You don't have to mess around with mixing it all up and everything. It's really easy to use, great stuff.
With the larger posts firmly in, I used a line of smaller softwood stakes to define the back of the seat. These were just hammered in with a bit of brute force.
I'm just chamfering off the top corner of the post because it just sets the ball off really nicely and it makes a nice finish top to the post rather than just having a plain flat edge. Sometimes I plane down the sides as well, and then you get the stop chamfered posts and they look really good too.
The very last construction job was the addition of some trellis columns on the back of the house. These would help tie it in with the rest of the garden and provide valuable support for climbing plants. And with that completed, it was at last time to call in our turf expert and finally say goodbye to all that mud.
When you're actually buying turf, what should you look for?
Well, it might seem obvious, but it must be green and weed-free as opposed to weed-treated. And it should also have a nice, thick sward.
I've also heard that you should be able to pick it up and shake it and it shouldn't fall to bits, and it doesn't. I'm glad. Very nice. And when you bought it, how quickly should you lay it?
Well, it's imperative that turf is laid within 24 hours.
So rain or no rain, we ought to get on with it.
We'll get on with it.
Right. The soil preparation, it's all important, isn't it, before you actually turf it?
It's extremely important, Bunny, yes. There's no point in putting good quality turf down without good preparation. And what I would do is turn the ground over to a spade's depth and obviously removing all large stones, weeds, and the other debris.
And then cultivate it to a nice fine tilth, as we have done here. And also, before you turf it, you should put on some fertiliser, shouldn't you?
Definitely. Pre-turfing fertiliser will help to establish the roots. They need to go down some 6 to 8 inches, and pre-turfing fertiliser is ideal for that.
Gives it a good boost early on.
And what we recommend is about 40 grams to a square metre, which is about a handful.
Your hands are much bigger than mine, though.
Well,
I'll get the turf.
that's fine, thank you.
There you are.
What we're doing is starting from, as you always would do, the longest, straightest line. In this case, we've got a brick line to work to, which is ideal. So turf, roll out, and make sure it's well butted up to the brick line.
And then we'll just firm it gently in.
Just literally just tamper it with a rake. No hard pressure, it's just not necessary. Just a light tampering.
People always find it difficult where they butt up another turf, don't they? You get these awful wide joints, don't you?
Well, yes, we've all seen that, certainly. But good turf should butt up well. But if it
always.
no, well, if it doesn't, there's a simple remedy to that. Just overlap the second roll
Over the top.
over the top. Yeah, good sharp knife, and we're cutting through the top roll
And the bottom.
and the bottom roll. That's absolutely right.
And then you'll have a good, clean butt.
It needs to be watered until the water's actually percolated through the turf. And by lifting a corner of the turf,
It should feel nice and moist.
never ever let new turf dry out. It will grow fairly rapidly, particularly with the fertiliser, so it may need cutting within the first few days.
But we shouldn't actually walk on it or use it for what, 3, 4, 5 weeks?
That's ideal, 3 to 4 weeks or longer, yeah.
It can be really difficult to keep them off the lawn.
Well, I appreciate that, but the quicker the lawn establishes, the quicker they'll be able to get onto
Lovely.
it.
All right.
Very handy having a big brother with a big removals van.
Bunny, how am I going to look after all these plants?
Looks a lot, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Won't look nearly so many in the ground, I promise you that. But I have chosen plants that are really easy to look after. Things like these evergreens.
There is a God.
Yes. The most difficult bit will be the weeding. 1 or 2 plants require a little bit more work, but I'll tell you about those, don't worry.
Excellent.
I've chosen some nice native wildlife plants for the treehouse area. So they really drag in the birds, the bumblebees, the butterflies, so the kids should love that.
Oh, they will love that.
I've got the yew hedge to go around the trampolines. That'll obscure most of it from here, so you'll hardly see it from here. Should be great.
Be good.
Lots of colourful evergreens to go around here, so look good all year round when you're looking out of the windows.
Sitting out here all year round then.
And then I've got some nice child-friendly plants that they can actually play amongst and trample on. And if they do trample the odd 1 or 2 plants, they'll shoot back. They're really vigorous. Things like the shrub willows and some hazel and stuff.
Brilliant.
But I think it's just about dry enough to plant now, and we're losing light, so we should get cracking.
Let's go for it.
I'm positioning the yew plants in a double staggered row, and they should be about 500 millimetres apart, and we'll take them from there, curving round the tree.
Go from that way.
And we'll do the same in another arc on the other side. All the way around the trampoline. Yews are one of my favourite hedging plants. A lot of people think they're really slow, but in fact, if you give them the right conditions, they're quite fast. Normally, they'll grow about the rate of a child. So you think how fast a child grows from the age of about 4 to 12. But if you want to speed them up no end, the best thing to do is to water them in dry periods. They don't like wet ground, but they hate dry conditions. They're nice little trees, aren't they?
They are.
I thought they'd be really nice just to sort of emphasise the steps. 1, 2, 3. That's beauty. It's the Ligustrum jonandrum.
Isn't there a common name for it?
Well, it's a type of privet, like the ones you've got around here. But it's semi-evergreen, so in a really hard winter, it might well drop its leaves. So don't worry, that's just the cold. They'll grow back again in the spring. They're quite fast-growing trees, and you often see them shaped into weird shapes like aeroplanes and things like that. But I thought we'd go for something simple, like a nice ball on a stick here.
Is it easy for them to lose the shape then?
Well, you need to clip them, because they're quite fast-growing. You need to clip them. I would clip them, say, in May, late May, and then I'd probably give them another haircut, seize it down now, in about August, if it's all gone straggly. In any dry periods over the next 6 months, I would water it with about 2 or 3 watering canfuls a week. Give it some feed as well. I bet it's been in this pot sometimes, so give it a good feed. Liquid feed in the spring to really boost it into life. I reckon this plant is pretty indestructible. The worst thing about it is probably its name, Cornus alba elegantissima. Bit of a mouthful, but it's got many good plus points. One of them is that it's really tough. If kids play in it and accidentally break the stems, it will just shoot back. Another thing is it's got this wonderful variegated foliage, grows very fast, is very tough, vigorous. And when it loses its leaves in the winter, you get the wonderful red stems. If you can be bothered to cut it back once every year in the spring, then you get these fabulous young red shoots. Great plant. In front of it, I've got this grass, which is Festuca ovina glauca. I've used it in a bold sweep all around the tree seat, and the blue of the grass is picked up by the colour on the tree seat. It's evergreen, it's always going to look like this. Nice, simple, bold drifts for Sophie, so they're easy to look after. That me on a good hair day, isn't it?
From a rather boring expanse of grass to their dream family garden. Was all that hard work worthwhile?
Well, Sophie finished at last.
At last, Bunny. Oh dear, it's been tiring, it's been hard work, and it looks absolutely fabulous. It's gorgeous. It looks like we've extended the garden. I mean, there's so much that's gone into the garden, but there's still loads of space. It's amazing, it really is.
And what do you think of the paving?
It's absolutely amazing. It just looks so nice. This is my area, and I'll be spending all my afternoons here.
Sitting in the sunshine, we hope.
Definitely, yeah.
And the mosaic that we did, that didn't turn out too badly, did
The
it?
mosaic's lovely. It's come off really, really well. It's set it all off, and it just makes it all complete.
And the box balls look really good in the middle, don't they, I think? And they're picked up with a little box hedging, do you see, running all the way around the back of the timber coping. And that timber coping gives you loads of extra sitting space. Well, this area was always going to be for your mum, wasn't it? But the rest of the garden's for you lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So should we go and have a look?
Yeah. Okay.
Yay! I know this is one thing you've really been wanting to see, the trampoline.
Yes, they've been hounding me to go on this, Bunny.
I was really worried because I chose the biggest possible trampoline, and I just thought maybe I'm squashing too much in this tiny space.
The bigger the better. Because it's quite private now. But once that hedge is grown, it'll be even more private.
Yes. Give it a few years and it'd be so private in here, it'd be lovely.
Bunny, you know in the winter, do we have to put a cover over the trampoline?
It's all weather, you can use it all year round, just leave it out.
Bunny, I would like to go on the trampoline.
But back to business and the rest of the garden.
We've made them their own private space here, and no doubt they get up to all sorts of things, some good, some not so good.
I can't believe this area. I mean, it was just a simple concrete car bay. It looks so big.
It is extraordinary how it's increased in size, but I reckon that's because we've gone for the double decker effect. So we've got the treehouse above and that huge sandpit below.
It looks lovely.
It should really pull in the wildlife because we've got lots of native plants and the water, which should be humming soon with lots of insects and birds and bees.
Brilliant. The kids will absolutely love that. They love insects, they love animals. I think they're a bit of a Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, that's great. So is it the sort of family garden you were expecting?
Everything and more, Bunny. It's just so fabulous. Honestly, it's just so overwhelming. I'm all choked up. I feel like crying at the minute. But we're going to get so much enjoyment out of the garden. Myself, the children, my family. And in the summer, it's going to be partying.